On this week's episode of the Program Guys podcast, we recap a wild weekend in the NFL Divisional round of the playoffs and find out where we stand against the spread. A reveal of our punishment for the loser of our NFL playoff pick'em, and we reveal our picks for the AFC and NFC Championship games this weekend. We go over the latest Oklahoma Sooners news, including where we think Jaxson Dart is heading, as well as former OU quarterback Caleb Williams. And, of course, Pat's hot take on OU's recruiting of quarterbacks and Ryan's must-watch of the week, Yellowjackets on Showtime. All right, let's get started.
3, 2, 1.
There's not one guy, one person in the history of this program that's bigger than the program.
What's better than this? Guys being dudes.
What is up, and welcome into episode number 3 of the Program Guys podcast. I am Mason Prince, joined as always by Patrick Hertzberger, Mark Hall, Ryan Tyson, and Matt Gann. Today is going to be Wednesday, January 26th. Had to check my calendar. Don't even know what day it is anymore. January is just flying by. Guys, how was your weekend? How are we doing this week?
Dude, that weekend of football, incredible. I know we're going to talk about it right up front, but one of the best weekends of football we've had in how long? So long.
It was great. Also, we need a congratulations for Mark Hall, our first YouTube video, over 1,000 views. Everybody, Give it up for Mark Hall. Give it up for Mark.
Thank you.
He's famous now.
The TikTok is slowly blowing up too, boys, but
all right.
keep working on it.
Everyone go check it out if you haven't. It's a little video clip of my Todd Bates spiel last week. Let's get it maybe to 2K.
Yeah, let's try. Also subscribe to our YouTube channel, Program Guys Podcast. You can find us on YouTube. Find us on Twitter at The Program Guys with a Z. Also on Instagram at Program Guys with a Z as well. Let's go ahead and get started, you guys. NFL recap. Ryan said it. What an amazing weekend of NFL football. If anybody had any doubt that in the United States of America that football is king, that weekend just showed you why it's king. Because let's start with the Bengals. Bengals beat the Titans 19-16. It's their first playoff road win ever. That's insane. It's also they're going to be their first AFC Championship game in 33 years. I have in my notes right here, Burrow is good and Jamar Chase is good. Guys, take it away.
I went 1-3 this week with my picks, and the second that I saw this game happen, and the second I saw Tannehill throw 3 interceptions, I was like, "This is not going to be a good weekend for my picks, but hopefully a good weekend for football." So, I had a lot of stats to say why the Tennessee Titans were going to win, and then Joe Burrow came in and just decided that he was going to win. So.
Ryan Tannehill showed you why it's so important to have an elite quarterback
it's really
in the NFL
honestly.
And the NFL playoffs. It's super important. And as young as Joe Burrow is and coming off an injury like he is, he showed why he's elite, and he showed why he's going to be a problem for not only the AFC North, but the entire AFC division for the foreseeable future. Mark?
Agreed. Basically with everything that Ryan said, except that I was lucky enough to go 2-2. I had all these reasons why the Titans were the better team and the team that was going to win. And something that I think we saw this week was at this stage in the game, these teams can just get it done anyway. You're not necessarily who you were through the regular season. You're not who you were the last time you played this other team. You're who you are now. And the Bengals are a team to be, messed with right now.
Matt, what'd you see?
Hey, let's give credit to Joe Burrow. He was sacked 9 times. During the game.
Wow.
I mean,
they were trying their damnedest to get him hurt again. It was crazy.
Jeffrey Simmons, the D-line for Titans, I mean, he was just absolutely having his way with the offensive line. I mean, they were just letting him through. It was incredible. But even through 9 sacks, let's give some credit to the kicker, Evan McPherson, the rookie out of Florida. I mean, just cool as a cucumber, hitting however many field goals he did to win and the game winner. I mean, I called it. This was the only game I got right as well. So I'm glad at least I got one. Bengals look good up in their Arrowhead next week.
Pat, anything to add before we move on?
Yeah, that's why you draft kicker, boys. That's what I say in fantasy football too. Sometimes your kicker needs to be your 7th or 8th pick if he's the best guy on the board, and that's what the Bengals did there. Congrats to them. And Titans suck, like I said. They suck.
Titans suck. He's not wearing the Tennessee polo this week, guys. Looks like it's just a regular Oxford shirt. You're looking classy though, Pat. I like it.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Handsome.
Moving on. 49ers beat Packers. Sorry. Hughes Packers 13-10. Matt, I'll give you the floor.
Guys, 2 years in a row, number 1 seed, absolutely blow it. I mean, I just can't fathom it. The defense played absolutely incredible. You couldn't ask much more from them. But again, it came down to the offense not showing up and the special teams hurting us. The special teams has been horrible all year. They give up a blocked field goal. No one even touched the guy who blocked it. And then they give up the blocked punt. I want to go over some stats with you guys real quick here.
Oh, yeah.
It's incredible what the Packers are heading to into the offseason. They're $45 million over the cap. That is the second worst heading into the offseason behind New Orleans, who keeps paying Taysom Hill an absurd amount of money.
Also, they just lost Sean Payton today, so they're a dumpster fire as well.
Right. $45 million, and you have to pay Aaron Rodgers. You have to pay Devontae Adams, who most likely will be franchise tagged. And you picked up Campbell, the linebacker, for 1 year, who has an all-pro season that you're going to have to pay. So what are they going to do? Now, I did see Rodgers go on the Pat McAfee show today, saying it was pretty much free agency was off the table. So it sounds like he's either staying with the Packers or he's going to retire from what I saw on the show there today. But the biggest thing is, why can't we get Aaron Rodgers some help offensively? It's Devontae Adams or nothing. I just wanted to read you the past couple of classes of wide receivers that they have passed up on. I want you to be dumbfounded. They have not drafted in 15 years a skill set player other than Jordan Love back in 2020. And we all know how that turned out. Guys, 2021, just the top receivers: Jamar Chase, Jalen Waddle, Heisman winner Devontae Parker. 2020, Jared.
They didn't pass on those guys, though.
Right. I'm just saying they had the opportunity. Granted, these guys were
they didn't.
draftable.
Jamar Chase was
draftable?
the number 5 pick.
Okay. Well, what I mean is, just in the draft, again, they would have to given up draft capital. They haven't given up a lot to get these guys. But I'm just saying, in the past 4 or 5 years, I just want to name some wide receivers that were potentially there, but the front office being way too conservative to make any moves. They just go after defensive players.
Like they didn't trade up, is what you're saying.
Right. They just got no help for Aaron Rodgers, who's been begging for help. The only person they get him is Randall Cobb, coming from the Houston Texans. That's the only thing they gave him.
Yeah.
Well, and
Huge
how about
loss
their
for us as a
drafting
Texan.
of the position has also just been poor, because you've got
That's
your
what I mean.
Valdez Scantlings, but
Right.
at the same time, I'm sure they passed up on, second round draft pick Chase Claypool.
I think Lazard is good too.
I
don't think your wide receivers are that bad.
I think Matt made
I
a
think
really
they
good point there. He talked about giving up draft capital, and that is something that when you have a quarterback like Aaron Rodgers, giving up draft capital to try to move up, or like later round picks to try to increase your odds in the first round, it makes the most sense in the world to me, because
They did do that
okay.
for Jordan Love.
Yeah, that's tough.
Okay.
Yeah, that's tough.
Look,
I don't
again,
want to hear that.
people
look.
don't want to be around Rodgers for one reason. It's because he's not vaccinated, bro.
He's immunized. We all know. Come on, guys.
All right,
Anyways.
we're gonna go ahead, Matt. Finish up, and we're gonna move on.
I was just gonna say, just the past 4 or 5 years, they just have not drafted a wide receiver. They needed a number 2. They haven't done that. There's plenty of guys on this list I've looked up that obviously they would have to give up something for them, but you gotta give Rodgers some help, and they just haven't done that. So
Before we go on, Mason, real fast for the record, Matt, 2022 and on, are you a Packers fan? Where are your allegiances? We need to know before Aaron Rodgers picks a new team and you are wearing a new jersey on Sundays.
I will always be a Aaron Rodgers fan. So whether he goes outside Green Bay, I'll always be a fan of his, but I'm going to be a Green Bay's Packers fan for life. So
Okay, good.
Excited to follow.
Good.
Because I texted the guys earlier today and said I was going to eviscerate Matt if he said, I'm not going to be a Packers fan anymore. I'm just going to follow Aaron wherever. And
I'm
you're
an
a
Aaron.
fraud if you do that. I would be so mad. So I'm glad you didn't. All right, moving on. Rams beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in Tampa 30-27, another shootout game. Really amazing. I got to give a shout out to my little sister because I didn't last weekend. Jensen, you were right. The Rams are good. Matthew Stafford's good, and they won. Stafford looked good. He looked better than Brady at times, but let's not discount the fact that the Rams had the Bucs dead in the water and for some reason allowed the greatest quarterback of all time to have a shot to win the game. You can't do that against San Francisco. And then if you're playing the Chiefs or the Bengals in the Super Bowl, you can't do that either.
No, absolutely not. I mean, San Francisco's taken advantage of that in the past against the Rams. And I know we're going to talk about that a little later, but that comeback by Tom Brady was impressive, but it also just showed like the Rams just crumbling right in front of our eyes. Like with like the 3 fumbles that they had, just like unacceptable, especially that last one. Just so bad.
So go ahead, Mark. Sorry.
I think they thought, like I did, like some of us did, and hey, we still covered, right? That Cam Akers was something you could now rely on, was a bell cow, because he looked so good the week before, and 2 of those fumbles were Cam Akers. So be interesting to see if we get some more Sony Michel this week.
I I spent the weekend in Dallas and drove back, got home and was able to catch the end of the game. Saw Brady tie it up, saw Stafford get sacked on like the first play when they got the ball back. And I was just like, all right, this is going to overtime. I got a chance to drive to my parents' house, catch overtime, get there, find out that the game's already over. Never leave early, folks. Never leave early. I missed probably one of the best innings all year that we're going to see. And I missed it because I didn't believe. Anybody else?
Possibly the end of Brady. You missed it.
Yeah,
I know. It's tough.
Yeah, I'll just say at one point, I don't like to bring up old wounds, but it was 27-3 at one point. And you're just thinking, if anyone can do this, it's Tom Brady. He's done it before. So
I was really hoping the Rams would go for 2 to make it 28-3. I texted my dad, hey, let's make it 28-3 and exercise some demons while we're at it.
Yeah.
They didn't.
That. Yeah, that was tough. All right, moving on. Chiefs beat the Bills in what might be the greatest game of our lifetimes. I'm almost 30 years old, and that's the greatest game I've seen. We're very much prisoners of the moment here in this generation, but I don't think it's exaggerating to say how great that game was and what we saw out of that. What did you guys think about the game? And then we can move on to the overtime rules because I know people got something to say about that.
I mean, yeah, best game I've seen in a really, really long time. I mean, 2 just absolutely elite quarterbacks just at the top of their game, just like throwing darts, complete lack of defense, just, really, really high energy. So, yeah, I think everybody was just glued to their television screens that entire time.
So,
anyone else? Go ahead, Mark.
Incredible game, right? Incredible performances. The last Chiefs drive took less time than the Cowboys took to run Dak Prescott 17 yards, which is incredible. And it really was just everything you want from a game like that until you get to that overtime. I do take some umbrage with the best game we've seen in a long time. Ryan, I was sitting next to you for OU Texas this year when Kennedy Brooks and Marvin Mims and no one else led us to the biggest comeback of all time in the series.
NFL,
I take some umbrage.
That's NFL game I've seen. OU games are always like the Rose Bowl versus Georgia.
Go ahead, qualify it. That's fine.
Yeah, we should have qualified.
High up there. NFL game I've seen in a really long time.
Pat,
I feel really validated that Kelsey caught that ball up the middle to keep the game going, and I totally called that last week. The Bills need to hire me,
and he did it. He did it. He got off his route. Did you read about that?
He told Mahomes like, "Hey, I don't care.
I'm just gonna go."
I'm gonna go to open space, and Mahomes before he snapped it started saying like, "Kelsey, do it."
Yeah,
do it,
guys. I think it sets up the next 10, 15 years, right? I mean, this is another Brady Manning matchup we're going to see every single year in the AFC for time to come. Wildest stat,
but this year we got Joe Burrow.
Yeah, we'll see. They still got Cincinnati's got a lot, but wild
Lamar Jackson.
And Justin Herbert.
Stop not talking
Go
about
ahead,
Lamar
Gam.
Jackson.
Go.
I'm just saying, wildest stat that I saw: Josh Allen, 14 incompletions during the playoff, 9 touchdowns. Incredible
Crazy.
stat, and
Wow.
still lost to the Chiefs. Incredible. It'll be great AFC.
Yeah.
sure.
Why did Josh Allen lose, Mace?
So that's the controversy that everybody's been talking about for the past couple of days, and that's that the Chiefs got the ball in overtime to start because of a coin toss. They went down the field and scored and won the game. That's it. Bills didn't get the ball back. People were upset, rightfully so, that one of the greatest games ended like that. I'm of the team that if you want the ball back in overtime, the rules are clearly laid out in front of you. Get a stop, make them kick a field goal, and you get the ball back and you can go win the game. They had the rules in front of them. They didn't do that. Also, if you don't want to go to overtime and you don't want to deal with the hokey rules, maybe don't let them score with 13 seconds left on the clock. That's my issue with it. I have no sympathy for the Bills. I have no sympathy for people who want to be like, oh, but Josh Allen deserved it. No, he didn't. You know why he didn't? Because he said in his post-game press conference that he didn't. So let's all stop treating these people like we need to be fair. It's the NFL. It's competition. They knew the rules. They didn't do it, and they lost. That's it.
Do you feel better?
Yeah, I do.
Got that off your
Mic
chest
drop.
a little bit.
Mic drop.
Go ahead, Ryan, and
Yeah,
whoever
I
else.
wanna
Tell me
challenge
why I'm
I
wrong.
want to challenge this a little bit because I think there's a difference between seeing that the rules need to change and feeling sympathetic for the Bills.
The Chiefs tried to get the rules to change a couple years ago, and nobody wanted them to change.
Look, there's been like 12 times that people have tried to get these rules changed, and it just hasn't happened yet. But I want to give a statistic from Mina Kimes on ESPN. Since 2012, playoff teams that receive the coin toss in overtime are 10-1. 10-1.
I saw that. Yep.
Like that's
Yeah,
absolutely
It's
ridiculous.
an unfair
That's-
advantage.
it's a
and you
ridiculous
cannot-
stat.
I know. It's crazy. I also saw a stat from Mason Prince that said teams that let other teams score with 13 seconds left on the clock lose 100% of the time.
Mason,
Don't let 'em score.
I'm not challenging you that the Bills defense screwed up here, but after watching that game and seeing the last, especially 2 minutes, did you honestly think that either of these teams were going to stop each other? It
No.
all came down to that coin toss.
No,
Like
but
the
they knew the
entire
rules.
game came down to the coin toss.
But they knew the rules, and that's what happens.
But they didn't.
I
They
think
can't
the
do
argument
anything
isn't
about the
that
rules.
the Bills don't know the rules. I
They
think
know the
argument
rules.
is, can we make the rules more equitable for both teams in a situation where defenses are considerably worn out? Look at the increase in scoring towards the end of the fourth quarter and immediately in overtime in most of the games that we have go to that point. It's these defenses, there's a limit at about 60 minutes for guys who can play football. And it absolutely 10-1 is not fair. That is not fair. Now, my favorite idea, just throw like 10 minutes on the clock, 15 more minutes on the clock.
I'm totally okay with that.
That's fine. And if a team can run 10 minutes off the clock, then cool. Your defense didn't do enough. But the lack of time afforded in the situation is the part that I have trouble with. Sure. Yeah, you're right. The Bills are, they lost, but I think the conversation is different than we should feel bad for the Bills.
Yeah. So the last time that the OT rules changed was 2009 after the Vikings Saints NFC Championship game with Brett Favre, and the Saints went in, kicked a field goal, and won the game because it was in overtime. And at that point, you could score anything and go through. And they changed it. I think partially because they probably wanted to see Brett Favre in the Super Bowl. But it's ridiculous that a team, and especially like Mark was saying, that two completely worn out teams who are just putting everything on the line with two of the greatest quarterbacks that we've seen in a really long time. And you're telling me that everyone in that freaking stadium and everyone who was watching at home knew whoever won that coin toss was going to win the game. Like they knew it.
This is the last thing I have, and then I yield the rest of my time. If this game happens in October between the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Houston Texans, no one gives a flying flip. at all.
I actually agree with that. And that's why I think we do the conversation a disservice by limiting ourselves to just talking about this game. I think it's a better way of doing overtime to just have more time and play regular regulation football during that time. That's where the conversation should be, is what the best way is, not like Mason's saying, not like worry about the Bills. We shouldn't be worried about the Bills. They did know the rules. The rules are the rules.
Sure. Yeah, no, I agree. I'm just going to say, I freaking love the college rules. They're a little chaotic, and I think chaos is good. I think it's fun. So, Penn State going how many overtimes? 9 overtimes.
Against Illinois. Yep.
Yeah, against Illinois this year. That was fun.
Matt, Pat,
anything
to add before we move on?
Were there more overtimes this year than last year? Because I know they're trying to change the rules to limit that.
I have no idea.
But I don't think it worked. I don't know.
In the NFL or in college?
College.
I don't know.
Don't know. Gan, anything before we move on?
Nope. Straightforward. Chiefs won. That's all I can say. So.
All right, moving on. Let's go ahead and look at our standings before we head into our AFC and NFC championship picks. Mark's sitting at the top of the table, 8-2 against the spread. Matt Gann in second place, 6-4. Ryan at 5-5. Patrick and Ryan are tied at 5-5. I'm bringing up the rear. Fifth place, 4-6. We have decided our punishment. The viewers have decided, and the loser will be getting a spray tan, and they will be posting it to the Program Guys socials.
I love it.
So
okay. I'm so excited.
So for those of you,
Mark's like sitting pretty up there. He's like, I don't gotta worry about this.
I cannot lose now. I did the math.
So for those of you who voted in our poll, thank you. You will be seeing a video of somebody getting a spray tan and getting it posted. Also, the people who said that's not really a punishment, I'm super duper pale. I'm gonna be orange. My hair is orange. I'm gonna be a giant carrot, and I'll dye my hair green if you want me to. I'll look like a carrot. I don't care. I'm not gonna do that. Don't hold me to that. All right, let's go ahead and move on to our picks for this week. Bengals at Chiefs. These are Tuesday lines, people. Chiefs -7. That's a 2 p.m. kickoff in Kansas City. Let's go ahead and start with how did we start last week? That's what we're doing.
I think we started with me.
Go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, so I'm going Bengals +7. I think the best advice I heard about picking spreads a long time ago, some tweet, was you're not betting the teams, you're betting the number. This is a bet the number situation. I think it ends up being a closer game than one might immediately think, and that lends itself to the Bengals covering.
Yeah, I'm going to go the opposite way. I got the Chiefs covering. I think the Bills and Chiefs are clearly the top two teams in the AFC. We saw that in last week's game. Bengals have to go 3 times on the road now, or twice on the road now, to Arrowhead, completely different stadium. If the Chiefs play the way they did on Saturday, no problem.
All right, I have to go Chiefs here -7 because, like Mark, I've done the math. And I have to go opposite of Patrick and Ryan to have a chance at not being last. So I'm going Chiefs -7. I'm all in, people.
So Mason, I didn't know we were doing that because I would have picked the same ones you picked to avoid getting a spray tan.
That's not possible.
But I went with my gut.
I'm not possible because I'm literally going to do the opposite of whatever you do. That's what I'm going to do.
All right. I got the Bengals.
I'm in charge.
I got the Bengals.
I'm the guy who cuts the video, so I will change it. Anything the opposite of what you do. I need you to understand.
He's going to go back in and record a little clip of himself.
Yeah, I'll be wearing different clothes, and I'm getting a haircut tomorrow actually, so it'll be a little shorter.
Yeah, I got the Bengals. I think this is going to be a close game. Just 2 great quarterbacks. I think it's going to be close.
Go ahead, Ryan.
Chiefs. So I agree with Gan. I think the Chiefs and the Bills are actually just the 2 best teams in the NFL. And they have the 2 best quarterbacks in the NFL. Joe Burrow's incredible. He's right there, but not as good as these 2. And Bills went in there with the 2nd best defense in the country and got torched. So I just don't have a lot of hope for the Cincinnati defense. I did see a comment the other day that Burrow made about like NFL stadiums not being very loud. And I think Arrowhead is going to hear that and is going to be very, very, very loud for this game. So I'm going with the Chiefs.
I would also like to go on record as saying I hate my pick but I have to make my pick. It disgusts me that I made it, but I have to make it. I think the Chiefs win regardless, but 7 points to me is just a lot. So I have the Chiefs, but I really think the Bengals have a good chance of covering that.
Do we know what the forecast is for this game? Because I know the Bills game was cold and at night, and 2 p.m. kickoff. You know, it's just a different kind of environment during the day than it is at night.
I got a high of 46 on Sunday, 0% precipitation, 7 mile per hour wind.
What's the low?
Huh?
Do you know?
Do what?
What's the low?
Oh, the low 29. 29 is the low.
Weather's not affecting this game. Weather's not affecting this game. No, they're fine. They're both ready.
All right. Moving on. 49ers at Rams. Rams a 3.5 point favorite. That's a 5:30 p.m. Central Time kickoff in LA. Let's go ahead and start. Mark, go ahead.
Again, you bet the number. Give me 3.5 for the Niners in LA. I think that, did y'all actually see that the Rams restricted ticket sales to certain areas of LA?
No,
yeah, they took that back. I think they took that back.
That's crazy.
But they did. At one point, yeah.
That place is going to be full of Niners fans. It's going to be full of Niners
fans. It already
fans.
Was the last time they played.
Yeah. And I think Debo, who was a little bit banged up, comes back and is able to play. I think even if he's a little banged up, no one's better than Kyle Shanahan at finding ways to make it happen, whether it's Juszczyk or Eli Mitchell or, hey, maybe Trey Sermon gets some run, and they just find a way. They find a way to cover at least 3.5.
Matt?
Yeah, I mean, the Rams almost blew it against Tom Brady, but he's the GOAT, so you expected to come back in that game. They're division foes, obviously, so they know each other really well. The Niners are actually 2-0 against the Rams. Obviously, they beat the Rams a couple weeks ago in SoFi Stadium. I just don't know how you beat a team 3 times in one season. I mean, that'd be an incredible feat. So if Stafford played the way he did on last weekend, I got the Rams covering 3.5.
This playoffs has really been about the road dog, and the road dogs have shown up and they have played very well. I like the Rams to win this game, but I like the Niners a lot to cover 3.5. I think they have a very good opportunity to do that, and I have no other reasoning behind that than they're the road team and they're an underdog. And in this playoffs, that just seems to be what those teams are doing. All right, Pat?
Yeah, I got the Rams. I don't think this is going to be too difficult of a game, and totally agree with Matt that 3 times, no, not in one season.
Ryan?
I just would like to say that I think the Packers have beat the Vikings 3 times in one season before. So it's possible. Trust me. I know that as a fan. Yeah, I have Niners plus 3.5. So yes, they have beat them twice, and I actually think they'll beat them a third time. And I gave the Rams a lot of credit last week for, their defense. And I still think that defense is incredible. But after watching what the Niners did to Green Bay in that freezing cold weather and how their defense was able to stop like that explosive offense, I don't think Stafford is near as good as Aaron Rodgers. So I just don't think that the Rams are going to be able to score that much. And like Mark said, with, the audiences in LA, they don't really roll out for football. Shout out to Lincoln Riley. But they, who's that guy? Tebow. I think the San Francisco fans are going to roll out to that stadium. And I think it's going to be, a lot of San Francisco fans, a lot more than we're thinking. So I got the Niners.
All right, last bit of NFL news that we're going to cover before we move on. We've already kind of talked about Rodgers, guys. I know that's in our rundown, but we're going to skip over that. You got 2 things, Mark?
Oh, no. It's okay. If we already talked about Rodgers, then we're good.
Yeah. So Sean Payton stepping away from the Saints. I don't really know what that means. It doesn't sound like retirement completely. So he definitely could become a coach sometime again soon, just not for the New Orleans Saints. Mark wants to know if the Falcons are the NFC South favorites next year if Brady retires. Brady posted something today that wasn't really confirming that he was going to come back and play next year. So Mark, take it away. What do you think?
Well, Brady's talking much more like he is leaning towards retirement than he has done between any season before or during any offseason. So everything that I'm saying is based on the idea that Brady retires. But if he does, the Buccaneers don't really have a mechanism to get a quarterback who is of his level to get them there. So you assume like Kyle Trask starts. That's tough. That's not great. The Saints are broken now. He solved every problem for them. The Panthers are broken. They just hired Ben McAdoo. It's all bad. If the Falcons can just tread water, the NFC South is going to be worse enough that they will win enough games to win the division.
9-8 could win you the division down there.
Absolutely.
Like. Yeah.
9-8 can win you the division. Let's say you go 4-2 in the division. What's that after that? Going 5-6? Come on now. That's doable. I'm very interested to see who the Falcons select with their 3 round 1 and round 2 picks. And let's see where they go. But if Matt Ryan's a starter, Arthur Smith is the coach, I think that, let's check out these lines whenever they come out, gang. I'll let us all know about it.
All right. Perfect. We're moving on now. Some big news came out of baseball today. This is going to be a big baseball podcast. I apologize if you're here for our MLB takes. You're not going to get a lot of them. I'm a giant Boston Red Sox fan. So the lone electorate, is that the right word?
Yeah, go with it.
Okay. The electorate, say with confidence.
Elected.
Yeah.
He's pulling up the notepad.
Oh yeah, I got some notes.
I'm here.
David Ortiz is the lone player in this year's MLB Hall of Fame class. He is heading to Cooperstown, the greatest designated hitter of all time. Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens, and Sammy Sosa miss out on the Hall of Fame. That was their last chance to get in. In case you don't know, Barry Bonds is the all-time leader in home runs in a career and home runs in a single season. And Barry Bonds will not be in the MLB Pro Baseball Hall of Fame. It's not the MLB Hall of Fame. Pro Baseball Hall of Fame is what it's called. Roger Clemens, one of the greatest pitchers of all time, linked to steroid use, just like Bonds. He's not getting in. Sammy Sosa, forever linked with Mark McGwire in that amazing summer of 2003, or was that 2002? I can't remember, where Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa were in a battle for the all-time home runs in a single season record. But we're not talking about them. We're going to talk about David Ortiz, because if you're watching on YouTube, I have my David Ortiz shirt on, gold bottles, my David Ortiz jersey on. I am the biggest David Ortiz fan in the world. He is my guy, and I'm going to tell you why he is going to Cooperstown and why he deserves to be in Cooperstown as the greatest designated hitter of all time. 10-time All-Star, 7-time Silver Slugger, career 286 hitter, 380 on-base percentage, 552 slugging percentages, 10 100 RBI seasons. That's 23rd all-time, 541 homers, 17th all-time, 632 doubles, 12th all-time, 2,472 hits. You know what they call him besides Big Papi? Senior October. He has 85 playoff games to his credit, 289 average, 404 on base percentage, 543 slugging percentage. He hit 387, hit 3 home runs and 11 RBIs in 7 games during the ALCS in 2004, where they're the only team in MLB history to come back down from 3-0 against the hated New York Yankees. The Red Sox hadn't won a World Series in 86 years. David Ortiz put that team on his back, won the World Series single-handedly for the Boston Red Sox, lifted the curse of the Bambino. Later on in his career, he won 3 World Series, by the way. He had during that 04 series, he had a walk-off homer in Game 4, a walk-off single in Game 5 in the 14th inning, and a 2-run home run in Game 7 of that series to put the Yankees to bed. In 2013, in his swan song in the World Series, he hit 688 with 2 home runs, 6 RBIs, and 8 walks, 4 of which were intentional in the 2013 World Series to win the World Series for the Boston Red Sox in 2013, when that city was reeling from the Boston Marathon bombing. David Ortiz is the greatest designated hitter of all time. He's the greatest Red Sox player of all time, and he deserves to be in Cooperstown. Congratulations to Big Papi.
Big Papi.
All right, Big Papi.
Right, that was beautiful.
Did he ever take steroids?
Senior October.
He was linked to steroids. Yes. That's why people are upset that he's in and Barry Bonds is not. It's not a comparative thing. It shouldn't be. we can just David Ortiz can be in the Hall of Fame and be good enough to be in the Hall of Fame, while the voters for the Hall of Fame can also be terrible people. Those two things don't have to be like, or I'm trying to.
I think they just made the wrong decision.
Mutually exclusive.
Yeah, they did. Barry Bonds, Clemens, Sosa, all of them should be in there. That's what it should be.
So how does the voting work? I mean, do they need a number of votes? Like, how many voters are there? Like, what's it take to get into the Hall of Fame?
I got to do more research, but you have to be a voter. You have to be a professional baseball writer. The Professional Baseball Writers Association of America is the people who vote on that, which is stupid and out of date because they're all upper like 70s, 80s. A lot of these guys are old. They don't need to be voting on stuff like this because they're all crotchety old men who hate baseball, but get to vote for the Hall of Fame. It's insane. I don't know.
That makes sense to me.
Why did like the time expire for Bonds, Clemens, and Sosa not to ever get in it? That seems silly.
You only get so many times to get voted upon before they go, okay, well, no one's ever going to vote you in. So that's just the way it works. They
have to clean the ballot up for incoming people.
Yeah.
Got it.
And so that's the way it goes. We're moving on. Go ahead, Mark.
Can I real fast?
Yeah,
I think it's a really bad call to not have all of those guys in the Hall of Fame, to not have Pete Rose in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah,
I think the Hall of Fame should be a museum to what your sport is and has been. And you can't tell the story of baseball without those guys. In much the same way, you can't tell the story of the United States without the Civil War. You still have to, flesh that out. Yeah. You can't just act like that didn't happen. It's very weak. I think you can put a placard up there that has a paragraph about steroids and still give Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens, Sammy Sosa their due.
That's right, Mark. I think you're right. All right, let's move on to some Sooner talk, guys. Let's Boomer Sooner it up here. We're program guys. We're going to talk about the program.
Hell yeah.
Let's go ahead and start with some transfer news. Jaxson Dart, quarterback transfer from USC. He's down to what it looks like is three choices between OU, Ole Miss, and now BYU coming in late. He took a visit to BYU and checked it out. He's a Utah guy. Mark.
Thought that was Wisconsin.
Was it?
Oh, it's a different quarterback. Looking,
yeah, different quarterback.
My bad.
You're close.
You're close. Different quarterback. So Jaxson Dart. OU has Dylan Gabriel on the roster. Can OU afford to lose out on Jaxson Dart? I mean, you think so, Patrick? Why?
Absolutely. I just need Dylan Gabriel. That's all I need at OU for like the next 2 years, and then we're good after that again. I don't think Jaxson Dart is as good as Dylan Gabriel. I don't like his rushing yards. I need someone who can rush the ball.
Okay.
Go watch some Jaxson Dart high school tape and act like he's a freshman. Just pretend he's a freshman. Okay.
All right.
Yeah, that could have just been purely schemed by USC.
But even though like Dylan Gabriel already understands what Levy wants to do. Like he's been in his system. So
no doubt Jaxson Dart knows the risk he'd be taking, much like one Baker Mayfield did long ago.
Sure.
Yeah,
I mean, it's Trevor Knight. I'm sorry.
But I think the answer here is yes, but I still think we should like fight for him. I mean, the more talented QB room. I mean, I'm not going to say no to a incredibly talented. I don't even know if is it 4-star, 4 or 5-star, whatever he is.
5-star.
Yeah, 5-star. We're not going to be like, no, please don't come here. So like, yes, if we're like here with Ole Miss and BYU.
Yeah, I'm cool if he comes. I'm just saying I don't need him. Like, I don't think we need him.
Go ahead,
but like if he comes, all the better. Yeah.
I don't think we're pressing. I think Levy's done a good job already recruiting. Now we have 2 4-star QBs coming in. We just got the commit from Jackson Arnold coming out of Denton, Texas, and obviously we have Nick Evers already on campus. So I agree. It would add some great QB depth. I mean, you can't go wrong with some competition, but I don't think we're going to be hurting, especially with the recruiting in the future and who we got behind Gabriel. So
there's some rumors that Ole Miss is becoming the favorite to land Dart. A lot of cryptic stuff coming from Lane Kiffin's end, getting on a private jet. People rumoring he's going out to Utah to meet with Dart. all that stuff. You got to recruit. This is something that Brent Venables is going to have to deal with, going down the line. Lane Kiffin's a good recruiter. Whatever you think about him as a person, he's a good recruiter, and he knows how to get kids to come to Ole Miss. And you're going to have to compete with guys like that. You're going to have to compete with guys like Nick Saban and Kirby Smart who can recruit like that. That's just the way it works now. And this is a good test. This is a way for, even if OU doesn't land Dart, it's a good way for Venables to kind of learn, like, oh, this is kind of the way that we needed to approach this to get talent like that out of the transfer portal.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, Dart also has an advantage at Ole Miss. I mean, he's going to go there and immediately become the starter.
Yeah.
So he doesn't really have to, he doesn't really have a challenge there, which is, I mean, I think some people would want the challenge. Some people wouldn't. It really just depends. Yeah. But yeah, I think I was listening to a breakdown today, and they mentioned that they saw something from like Jaxson Dart's like girlfriend or something saying he was probably going to Ole Miss, but
which like, can we not?
Where did she go?
That's just cringy to me, man. like I want to meet the dudes who scroll through her Instagram to get football insider information.
Yeah, it's just like, creepy.
He's on the podcast with us. Patrick Hertzberger, welcome to the show. What do you have to say?
You would absolutely do
that. Jaxson Dart's alleged girlfriend's alleged Instagram search.
Look, I saw a theory. If you look at where the girlfriend goes to school, she could figure out where the guy is going to go to school. And this guy found like 4 or 5 transfers already this season who have done that. They've just followed their girlfriend to even like a lesser school sometimes. So,
all right, let's move on, guys. Well, Matt mentioned it a little bit ago. OU gets their first 2023 commit of the class, 4-star Jackson Arnold out of Denton, Texas. He's the 9th ranked quarterback in 2023 and the 170th ranked player in the country, according to Rivals.com. I know we probably haven't watched tape on this guy, but it's got to feel good to know Venables and Levy went out to get this guy out of Texas, able to get another good quarterback, and they can recruit solid talent at that position.
That's exactly the thing. We are getting the pedigree that the top programs get. There's a drop off from the number 1 quarterback every single year. Sure. But that drop off was always going to be there. That Levy immediately comes in with a defensive minded head coach and can pull these guys. Evers was immediate. He decommitted the moment Billy Napier left and was on board quick. I think what they're showing is there's still going to be a force in every top quarterback room, every top quarterback prospects room.
Anybody else got anything?
Okay, great point. I mean, I like
Matt,
that they're
or Pat. Go ahead.
No, yeah. I mean, I like that they're not thinking near term either. Like 2023, that's awesome.
Great, Matt.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think Brent said it. He was going to recruit high, and he was going to use the transfer portal to his advantage. I mean, we got 3 DBs, 2 D linemen coming from the transfer portal. So they're making moves. They're doing what they can. And it just shows, like Mark said, even with the defensive minded head coach, we're going to be great on that side of the ball. It's really just going to be what that drop off was going to be on the offensive side. But I still think we're going to have the top prospects in that room with Levy, with Venables, what we can do. I don't think we're going to be hurting at all. So
speaking of the head ball coach, he was at the OU Baylor game this past weekend on Saturday in front of a pretty good crowd at the Lloyd Noble Center. The man took the court at halftime. BV got the people going. Dude's electric. That's all I really have to say about it. He didn't have. There's nothing really to add other than like, I just love hearing the man talk. He gets my blood going. Makes me want to run through a brick wall. That's all I have.
Man, can he speak? Like he's just he just has he has such a presence about him that we've just been missing. And like now that it's back, like I think during that time we didn't know we were missing it. But now that it's back, it's like, oh my God, like this is electric. That game, by the way, was terrible. And yet still I was like, this is electric. All the recruits were there. I mean, it was perfect timing. I feel super comfortable with BB moving forward.
He's a little different than Bob was towards the end. Towards the end, Bob was sort of done, right?
Yeah.
Brent is so excited for this, and it comes out in everything he says. That's all.
It's really awesome to see. Anybody else? Anything to add?
We love to see it.
All right, love to see it. Let's move on. Bleacher Report. Sorry, I'm skipping ahead. All right, let's talk. We got to talk about Caleb Williams, folks. He still hasn't decided where he's going. I don't know how this is possible. If you ever thought that this decision was school or football related, it's not. It's about where he's going to get the most money. Because if it was school related or football related, he'd be in school right now, and he's not. He moved out of Headington officially with his dad picking up all of his stuff. That Range Rover was pretty nice. I will say that.
So nice.
I'll give
haul anything nice.
No, can't. That's why
Apparently.
I had to put it on a trailer. You know? So,
But they put it on a trailer that like is not covered. I'm like, what the hell are you guys doing? This is a
pretty dumb.
very expensive car to be driving cross country with.
I
don't
know that
understand what you're doing.
You mean the Williams family started a process without thinking out exactly how it might end up?
Kinda weird.
Yes.
Not
Right?
these guys.
Yeah, it's wild. Does anybody feel? I'm trying to find the right word to say this. I feel like we've all kind of moved on already.
100%.
But is this like the closure portion to just know, like, all right, he's officially gone. All of his stuff's gone. Anything that reminded us of it's like when you break up with a girlfriend, she comes and picks up all of her stuff and that she left over at your house, right?
Yeah. I've got to admit that when I saw the news he moved out, I got hurt kind of again because there's definitely part of me that felt like there was some kind of chance he could come back, and it's still possible. Like, kind of, I don't know who's out. Total hope, but no, I'm done with
Patrick.
Caleb.
He's on Dylan Gabriel.
It's time.
Yeah.
It's time to let go, Pat.
I know.
It's time to let go.
Yeah, he's over.
I was doing really good until this moment.
Anybody else?
My closer actually came. Oh, you go, Matt.
No, I was just saying, I just saw the report that Wisconsin was a top contender. I don't know how we're going from USC to Wisconsin at this point. I wish you would just pick a place so we know, because they're going to make it. They're going to make it. He's going to make any team a contender wherever he goes. I mean, he's just that good of a player. So
also that's so stupid. Wisconsin's in there because you talk about wanting to be a pro and going to the best program that gives you a best shot at being pro. What are you talking? What are you going to Wisconsin for? Oh, yeah, I know,
year
right?
grad transfer.
1 year of Russell Wilson. That's what
just,
Carl is just like sinking his teeth into.
All right, sorry, Mark. Go ahead.
No, we're good. So my closer actually came when Perrion Winfrey tweeted out, "Caleb's my brother. Whatever he doing behind him, you know, if Perrion's fine with it, I'm fine with it." As long as, like, if he goes to USC, I hope he doesn't win a game, but that's not his fault. You know, that's him making whatever's decision is best for his dad's wallet. So I think we're just, OU has moved on. You know, with Dylan Gabriel's here. Like one of us said, 2 4-star quarterbacks locked in, well, committed. We'll see how locked in, you know, the new guy is, Jackson Arnold, but for now he is. And other than it'd be great to have like maybe one more body, I think OU is set at quarterback moving forward. And it's just, we're done with this.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. Bleacher Report named OU the losers of the transfer portal, along with 3 other schools in Oregon, Virginia, and Louisiana. Winners of that transfer portal, by the way, are Arkansas, South Carolina, Ole Miss, and Arizona. Do you guys disagree or agree with this list?
I kind of agree, kind of depending on the way you want to analyze it. I think we had the worst out of any school. I think we had the worst possible thing happen. We lost 2 guys who would potentially be Heisman winners, or could have within their career be potential Heisman winners. But at the same time, I think we did one of the best out of the schools in the transfer portal for incoming students. So it's kind of however you want to look at it.
It's fair. Matt?
I mean, I just think the biggest thing, Caleb Williams plays a huge factor into it. But like I mentioned earlier, we got 3 DBs, 2 defensive linemen, tight end out of Mizzou, and some offensive line help from California. So I think Brent Venables did exactly what he wanted to, was going to fill the gaps that we were losing, especially on the defensive side. So I think he did really good on that end. It's hard to say what Ole Miss and Arkansas have done. I'm not sure what their additions are, so it's hard to be biased, but we've lost some, but we got some good additions coming in.
Mark, Ryan?
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody covered it. I think it's the way you look at this. I think probably the flashier loss, like on the losses side, that's kind of like the flashier headlines. Like, hey, they lost, Spencer Rattler, which we knew was going to leave anyway. And they lost Caleb Williams. I mean, that's taking all the headlines right now. You lose your coach and Lincoln Riley. You lose basically your entire defensive staff. But what we were able to do in bringing in all that experienced talent, I think flying kind of under the radar is exactly where I want to be. So I'm okay with them saying we're losers. That's all right.
I think so. Between Jaden Hazelwood and Austin Stogner, we lost 53 catches last year. We have guys who can take on 53 catches. When Spencer Rattler wasn't playing up to his 2020 standard, everyone knew he was transferring already. It was a sunk cost, and no one was worried about it. The only real loss is Caleb Williams and Mario Williams. We're fine. We knew those were coming when Lincoln left. Like Ryan said, like Matt pointed out, we have a ton of guys coming in. They're all experienced. We have a quarterback room. We have a receiver room. We're fine.
I think it's just kind of lazy. I think that this is really about Caleb. I think that's all it is about. And if that's all it is about, then fine. Like, I get it. He's the best player in the country, pretty much. And yeah, it sucks. It sucks to lose him, but I feel like they aren't taking into account everything that OU added. They're only taking into account what has left. And I don't really think that's fair. So I get being a loser and because you lost the best player in the country, but you also have to take into account what OU has gained and kept thanks to Brent Venables and the staff coming in and even recruiting the guys that were already in the program. So that's good. By the way, National Signing Day, Wednesday, February 2nd, OU is tabbed to add a few more guys. So let's see what happens with that. Let's take a quick loop around OU's other sports. We're not going to talk about men's basketball because they make me mad. OU women's basketball got absolutely stomped and had an NCAA record dropped on their head by Kansas State. They lost by like 30 and allowed one girl to score 61. So that sucks. That's tough. OU softball, #1 in the preseason poll.
Hell yeah.
They're going to win another natty.
I'm so excited. Guys, I love softball. It's so fun to watch. They're electric.
They're a fun team to watch. You know why? Because they hit bombs.
Yeah, they hit bombs. Fun. The games are short. It's great.
You're right. They are.
Did you see who's #2? OSU.
Good for them.
Well, Oklahoma,
always looking up. Always looking up.
I pulled some major stats for softball.
I want to hear them.
I'm ready.
Huge.
Huge softball. In case you guys didn't know, Matt Gann is actually our OU softball liaison. Goes to the media days and everything. So Matt, take it away, softball
guys. Defending champions coming back. We're returning Jennings, Jocelyn Allo, Mackenzie Donahue, aka Air Donahue. If anyone saw that catch last year in the championship round. Jada Coleman. I mean, we have all these players coming back. We have 2 left-handed pitchers coming in. One's a #1 rated, another one's a number 20 coming in. OU's only won a natty with a left-handed pitcher. Fun fact. Our pitcher last year, Giselle Juarez, left-handed pitcher.
Love G.
It seems like Patty knows what we're doing, getting some left-handed pitchers. Got a couple other recruits coming in as well. I mean, they set the absolute world on fire last year. I mean, I'm looking at my stats here. They broke the records for team batting average, slugging, on base, home runs, runs scored, runs per game, home runs per game. I mean, literally all the offensive categories you can name. I'm not sure if they'll be able to repeat that this year, but they have a darn good chance of doing it and repeating for the Natty title for sure.
Folks, you really thought all you were getting was football on this podcast. The joke's on you.
No way.
Yep. Joke's on you.
I do want to make one football reference to what Gann just said.
Lay it on me.
Last OU national championship football, left-handed quarterback. Who's coming in to be our quarterback this year? A left-handed quarterback. Just saying.
That's what we need.
Just saying.
I'm not lying. Y'all making me sweat a little bit. I'm a little excited. I'm a little excited right now. Might need to crack a natty. Natties for Patty and for Brent. I'm about
Of course.
it. Okay, we're moving on. Everybody's favorite segment, Ryan's must watch of the week. Ryan, I gotta admit, you're 1 for 2 now. Okay, you're bad at 500 in the MLB. That puts you in the Hall of Fame. Okay,
I don't know. You guys just don't respect movies.
Pedophilia.
Whoa.
Fine.
It's movies. It's
Hey.
movies we have trouble with.
That's my hot take.
Okay, well, let's go ahead. Ryan is gonna give us a breakdown of Yellowjackets on
Hell yeah, I
Showtime.
am.
So
Yeah.
Ryan, take it away.
All right, so I went back to TV this time because I got like booed off the podcast last week when I wanted to talk about a movie.
It's
So-
not the movie. It's not that
It was
it's a
the
movie,
movie.
Ryan. I want you to take the right lesson from the experience. It's not that it's a movie. Movies are great.
You haven't even seen the movie, Mark.
I'm not gonna watch it. That barrier to entry is too high, my guy. It just
All right,
is.
we'll see if I get you at this barrier to entry. Okay, so yeah, I'm going to talk about Yellowjackets today. Yellowjackets is a 10 episode series on Showtime. And it stars a bunch of like famous people from the 90s is the best way I would say it. So you got Christina Ricci, Juliette Lewis, Melanie Linsky, and Tawny Cypress, who all were big kind of movie stars in the early 90s. And there's kind of a reason for casting them that I'll get to. But like a really, really solid cast. And essentially what this show is about is the plot is a New Jersey high school girls soccer team. Their plane crashes in the Canadian wilderness on the way to nationals in Seattle. And so that happens their senior year of high school. And then 18 months after that, some of those girls are rescued. And this show kind of tells the story of what happens in the wilderness, but it tells it from two perspectives. It tells it from the 1996 version when they actually crash. So you see what happens, very lost, but it also flashes forward to 2021. So we see some of these actors, the older actors that I mentioned who are very famous in the 90s, they play the older versions of some of these girls. So you
Ryan,
see,
Back, get your question.
yeah, Ryan, is there any sci-fi in this show?
So no, there's not.
Okay,
well,
good.
okay.
Good.
So there's a
Great.
little bit of it's not sci-fi. I would say there's a tiny bit of like a supernatural element in it, a little bit, but you don't really know. Like, I don't want to get too spoilery here.
Okay.
You don't really know if this is an actual supernatural like event that's happening, or if this is more like trauma related to like, being stranded in the middle of the wilderness and not being able to eat and drink and things that you need to do to survive. So it's a really good mystery. So talking about some of the influences here, I mean, obviously, I think probably the biggest influence is Lost. And I know I bring up Lost a lot. That's 2 out of 3 times I've talked about Lost already on this podcast.
Big
It's
Lost
my
guy.
favorite TV show, guys. But it's very, very highly influenced by Lost, very highly influenced by Lord of the Flies. I'm sure most of us had to read that when we were in school. And then some horror influences. So I would say especially kind of The Conjuring and kind of like Exorcist vibes. You kind of get that feeling back in like the 90s, like when they're actually in the wilderness, like what's actually going on, is everything we're seeing real, all of that stuff. Themes, survival's the biggest one. So really, what will people do to survive? And I would say on top of that, when you're looking at both of these timelines, you're also analyzing trauma and the effect on trauma in people's lives and the effect that trauma can have on people 25 years later. And when someone goes through a very specific experience that affects them like this, how it looks, in the future, and how it affects their family and how it affects their relationships and things like that. It's a very interesting take on that, as well as, guilt and things that happen out there, as they say, like, oh, that happened out there, but no one like talks about it. So it's like it's a guilt thing. Barrier to entry. So I would say it's pretty violent. So I know that, we've all seen Game of Thrones and things like that, but this show is pretty violent, and it's very similar to, like, if you've read Lord of the Flies, you probably know what I'm referencing, but the show deals with a lot of interesting concepts on like what humans are capable of doing to each other when they're trying to survive a situation like this. So
cannibalism.
I'll leave that up to you. You got to watch the pilot, and then you come back and you talk to me about it. Okay.
It actually sounds super interesting. I think I'm
going to watch it. I'm in on this.
It's a very buzzy show right now. Maybe this is just in my
Yellowjackets buzzy.
Maybe
I heard about it.
I did that on purpose, Mark. Trying to be punny on this one. So yeah, the high points, I'll kind of get to that. So high points, acting, again, I mention this all the time, but the acting from the older and the younger girls. So the younger girls are not like famous or anything. Women, okay, if you want to say it that way. They're not famous. The younger girls aren't famous, but they are extremely talented. And I would say the mystery building and the way they're able to build the story and the way that they're able to build suspense and interweave those two timelines, very, very well done. It's a very heavy theory show, which is a lot of fun when you're on the outside and you're watching it. It kind of reminds me of, that like fever pitch we got to with like WandaVision when it first came out, and everyone was like, oh my God, it's this. Oh my God, it's this. Oh my God, it's this. Who did this? Who did that? It's kind of like that, but the show doesn't really let you down like WandaVision did.
So it's Westworld season 1.
So, sort of, yeah. But I think it's even more well done than Westworld because it's not trying to be that complicated. This is still a story about, survival and maybe some cannibalism in there, maybe some supernatural elements, but really it's just about people and like how they're managing this.
Go ahead, Matt.
Just real question. I mean, if us 5 got stuck out in the wilderness, I mean, who we eating first is a real question. Yeah.
Oh, it's 100% Pat.
It's the person who asked. It's Gan.
I was going Gan.
I was going Gan as well.
But what the hell? but Patrick Staller, I agree with Mason. Patrick Staller probably,
I'm
in for a couple
No,
more
he's
days.
skinny. He's all skin and bones.
Well, I guess we'll see who's
maybe Mason.
Patrick and Matt, I guess. Yeah, we can't take Mason.
If all 4 of us work together, maybe. I don't know.
I think Matt's
we should talk about CrossFit more on this podcast.
No, we shouldn't. Matt's kind of a silver-tongued devil. He convinced me pretty easily to eat Pat. It wouldn't be hard.
You started with Pat.
Yeah, I don't get it.
I know, but it's just
Patrick's like, come on, man.
Like Pat, I mean, I really think I could eat you, man.
That should be our poll this week. Who gets eaten first?
Yeah. Ooh, that's a good poll.
We'll just leave Mason out.
We'll leave Mason out.
Yeah.
Be sure to vote on our Twitter page at the program, guys. We'll have that poll up for you tomorrow, or I guess when this episode comes out. Be sure to vote.
There's one thing more I want to talk about.
Yes, Ryan.
So a couple things, 2 things actually. So this show has an absolutely incredible soundtrack, just like off the walls, awesome 90s hits. Just like it really throws you back. It's got that nostalgia that I think everyone loves. Like the way that the 90s in this show is stylized and the production design and the soundtrack is perfect. So if you're a fan of the 90s, which it seems like a lot of people are nowadays, get into this show. And I will also say that this has a fantastic Reddit site that is very engaging. And if you just go on there and you just read some of the old threads that are like on theories, and it's just a lot of fun to be involved in like that community while you're like watching this. So I would highly, highly recommend that. And
watch for spoilers doing that.
Do watch for spoilers. Yes.
Okay.
You only get one warning.
Yeah.
So that's Yellowjackets. Highly recommend it. Showtime is sometimes hard to get, but hopefully you can get that somewhere. And I think
do they have a website? I've never even tried.
DM Ryan for his login. Moving on.
I still use Steve and Elizabeth's login. So shout out to them.
Yeah, shout out to Ryan's mom and dad, Steve and Elizabeth.
Always shout out to Steve
Yeah.
and Elizabeth.
Also, I'd like to speak for everybody when I say, Ryan, what a comeback. I mean, pedophilia last week. No one thought you had it in you to come back, but here you are, man.
Guys,
Claps all around.
I do this for you.
They tried
I
to
do this
cancel
for
Ryan.
the audience. You tried to cancel me. I just come roaring back, you know.
Look, Rogan, Tyson, one and the same.
I know. Next
They
week,
tried
Ryan,
to cancel.
Next week, Ryan's going to come in with an Auschwitz documentary from the side of a Nazi who's trying to find love. And he's going to be like, guys, just give it a chance.
Bro, did you see that movie at Sundance too?
Yeah, I did. Oh my gosh. All right. Now, Patrick, we're going to you. This is Pat's hot take of the week.
All
I
right.
don't know what it is. We knew what it was.
I changed it
and-
mid-pod.
And he just changed it mid-pod on us. So
Yep.
let's find out what it is.
And it's because he got brought up for a second again, and I've got to bring him up again because, as I said in 2018, he would be the best quarterback in his draft class. He still is, and he's still a top 5 quarterback in the NFL, and that's Lamar Jackson.
Oh God.
100%.
Well, what's your hot take?
Lamar Jackson's a top 5 quarterback, and he's
All right,
still the
name your
best
5,
quarterback.
Pat. Name
Yeah,
your
name
five.
your five.
Name
Who are
the 5.
Aaron,
5.
Tom, not in order. Aaron, Tom, Mahomes, Lamar, and then you throw in Josh Allen and Burrow.
So
That's-
where's
that's 5.
Burrow's 6? Okay, so Burrow or Lamar? Who are you picking?
Oh, I thought I had Lamar on there already.
You did.
Yeah.
You
You
did.
do.
Okay. Yeah.
You have 5. You listed 5.
Oh, you
guys
want me
plus
to-
Lamar? I want to do this. Burrow or like we can all do this. I just mean like let's go through it, right? Burrow or Lamar?
Me? Lamar?
Yeah. The only one
obviously.
contending for Lamar.
Josh Allen.
guys.
Josh Allen or Lamar, Patrick?
What? Lamar? What?
Patrick.
What?
No,
Lamar is
you
in the
are
program.
insane.
And Josh Allen in the Pro Bowl. Who's in the Pro Bowl? Not Josh Allen.
Lamar made the Pro Bowl.
Yeah, over Josh Allen.
But who made the playoffs?
Lamar was hurt.
Just
You guys undervalue him so much, and it really irks me.
I don't
Because-
think anyone
This is your-
undervalues
this is
him.
your
Lamar
fourth
Jackson is
NFL
the
team.
most. Yeah, well, that's it.
Still
Lamar
talking
Jackson
about-
is the most like unique weapon at quarterback we have, but
And he's top
that
5.
doesn't make him better than Mahomes, Allen, Rodgers, Brady, Russell Wilson. I just named
Herbert?
5. Herbert, possibly.
Possibly.
If he's let's set everything else aside. Give me Deshaun Watson over Lamar. I just got to 8.
yeah, but I think
Well, that's your
remember the
opinion.
context was out of that
Wilson
draft.
out there, maybe.
Well,
Yeah, but
yeah,
I
it's
had
out of
Wilson.
the draft class.
It's
sure,
out of the
but
draft.
He's
Which
still
was
he's
Tua
still
and Baker. But
he
is there
still
any other
has-
QBs in there? Was Justin
Josh
Herbert part
Allen.
of that?
Josh
Tua
Allen.
wasn't.
Okay, Josh Allen was okay.
Yeah. I don't know if
No.
Tua was Tua.
Tua wasn't in that draft class.
No,
He was 2020.
it was Allen, Baker, Lamar, Josh Rosen.
Right.
Falcons
Falcons got a
quarterback,
better career
Josh
than all
Rosen.
those guys so far, as well as Burrow and Herbert.
For
But they're
sure.
younger.
Side note, the place I stayed in Dallas is in the lowest. What's lower Greenville? Is that a thing? Lower.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah.
I was in lowest Greenville. There was a mural on the wall of Josh Rosen in a UCLA uniform. Talk about random
Wow.
in Dallas.
That's Dallas.
Somebody
For
just
what?
really likes Rosen, man.
Like, man,
Why can't we
imagine-
all just like
That's
you
just-
know love
imagine
who we
being
love?
ride or die for Josh Rosen to paint a mural?
I thought he would be the best quarterback in that draft.
Ooh, you weren't alone. Some people did.
I
I
own my
didn't.
takes.
I knew.
Sadly,
I
I
knew
still ride
Lamar.
with Baker.
Guys, this is an easy answer. The best quarterback out there is Kirk Cousins, and it's like not even close.
Yikes! Yikes!
It's tough.
I don't know about that.
Kidding. Vikings getting a new GM. Hopefully that means Cousins is out the door.
Oh,
Fingers
my
crossed,
gosh.
guys.
With all that money they're paying him, not a chance.
Fingers crossed for you, buddy.
Thanks, guys. I need the support during this time.
All right, I want to try. We're gonna end the show here. I want to try something before we go out, though. Something a little different. I'm just springing it on you guys now. Sorry. So this is gonna be make for great podcasting. Is
I love it.
springing something on my guys at the
Yeah.
very last second. Tell me something you learned today. Tell me something you learned today. We'll start with Patrick.
Oh shit.
Thank
No.
God.
No, like I just had a busy day, but I didn't like learn that much.
In the podcast, It doesn't have to be just in your day.
Oh,
This
yeah,
is
I
this is
learned
a-
some new baseball player names. for
Okay, that's
I'm
great,
just
Patrick.
kidding. I knew all their names.
No, you didn't, Patrick. You asked me coming on who David Ortiz was. You,
No,
you
I asked if
don't-
he was still playing.
Yeah, okay.
It's even worse.
Man. All right. We'll go. Whoever wants to go next can go next.
All right, so I've got one that I learned, but it wasn't during the podcast.
Yeah, go ahead.
During the pod, I learned a lot about the show Yellowjackets. It's on Showtime, and
Yeah.
it looks great.
Shout out.
So during the day-to-day, I was on the phone with my boss, and she told me if you ever have like a difference between two numbers that you need to be the same, and it's a multiple of 9, you have transposed two numbers. So you have flipped two numbers at some point in your mistake. Like you typed it backwards, right? So like you typed 720 instead of 270. What's the difference there?
9.
Like you get to a multiple of 9.
Wow.
I can't even
Very
comprehend this
crazy.
right
Wow.
now.
Yeah, well,
This is
do
some like
some-
accounting shit that I don't.
I like
do
this.
some,
It's an
we'll do some
exciting
math
day at
on
work.
I'll do some math on the old Twitter and break it down for people if there's
It's
interest.
like I'm
but-
gonna let the people know about this.
But
need
hey,
to
I
know
learned
about
something today.
this.
All right, Matt, what'd you learn?
Yeah, I'm the softball guy. So anything about OU women's softball or just softball in general,
You
I'm your
learned
guy.
today.
Tweet me. You learned today, and I learned today. So OU softball going for 2, baby, 2 in a row.
Mhm.
Ryan, what about you?
I learned that Wisconsin is a actual target of Caleb Williams.
Yeah.
And I think that's just an insane headline. And it's like not like a joke either. It's like, okay, here we go. We've heard from this entire circus that they're after NFL progression, or they want somebody who's going to get them the first round pick in the NFL. And it's like, Wisconsin is going to get that for you. So, I mean, I don't know. I learned that today. Thought it was funny. I hope he ends up in Madison.
I learned that I'm going to need to start looking up spray tan places in the greater Tulsa area because if I don't go 2-0 this weekend, I'm going to look like a goddamn orange. So we're going to need to find, I'm going to need to do well or I'm going to be spray tanned.
Do we have a tiebreaker? Or do we need a tiebreaker?
I think the
you both need
tiebreaker,
spray
You and I?
Can I make a confession?
yes. What, Ryan?
I definitely picked my picks the same as Mason.
Yeah, I know you did. I'm not
Yeah,
worried about you.
yeah.
I'm just worried about beating Patrick. That's all I'm worried about.
Oh, you won't.
I saw you went opposite Pat, and I was like, okay, if I pick the same ones as Mason, I can't go below
Yeah,
him.
exactly. That's
Something else we learned today. Ryan's a cheater.
Yeah.
Right.
This is
Can't-
what
can't make
this
his
is
own
exactly. This is exactly what Pat brought up in the first week of the hot take.
I think
Like,
okay, let's
The
before
scheduling.
yeah,
You gotta plan it.
The
Before-
planning.
doing.
You're right.
before we go out, let's go ahead and say that the tiebreaker, if anyone is tied, is the Super Bowl, and you got to pick the score. You got to pick the over under.
Okay.
And you pick the final score, and if you go over, it's like the Price is Right, you lose. So you got to stay under. You can't go over the total.
I like
Sound
that.
good? Does that
We
make
should
sense,
do-
Mark? Mark looks confused.
Kinda. Yeah. I think they should just pick the over under.
Okay, that's
Well,
fine.
And
they
then
both pick
if
the
we have
same.
another one, man, yeah, I guess you kind of have to pick the
I
score.
feel like you have to
right?
pick
And
the
then picking
score, and then you
score
can
is
just pick the
implicit
score.
in your
Pick the
over
score.
Closest.
We'll pick the
Closest.
score, and the difference will be. you
Yeah,
gotta be
I like that a
Yeah.
lot. I like
Okay.
that a lot.
You got to be close.
And we'll
Okay.
do it live. So it's not on the smart sheet.
Are we live streaming
No.
Yeah,
Super
Pat-
Bowl, Patrick?
Yeah, you want to live stream the Super Bowl?
We should. But
You should go to the stadium. Since you're out there, go to
Yeah.
SoFi.
Yeah.
Just like
All
have a post up.
Well, congratulations, boys. I think this is our longest episode ever. 3 episodes in. It's the longest episode ever. I don't think it was too long. I think we did okay.
it felt shorter than last time.
I know.
I think we
it did.
think we did well. Hope
I think
that
we're
everyone
good.
stuck it out with us.
All right. Well,
We
as
appreciate
always, thank you for listening. Be sure to follow us at the Program Guys on Twitter, at Program Guys with a Z on Instagram. Both of those are with Z's, I should say. Find us Program Guys Podcast on YouTube. Be sure to like and subscribe. We're going to post clips all week long from this show, so be sure to watch those back, share them with your friends. Let us know your takes. Comment on our videos. We like to interact with you guys. Follow us all on Twitter. Respond on Twitter. Vote in our polls. We're going to have a poll up today about who you would eat in the podcast first. My vote is
But
Patrick.
People are going to be very confused if we don't have context.
I know.
I
That's why
also
we wait
think
for
we
the-
should say who is eaten first, right? Not like
Yeah.
who would you eat? Because there's lots of context.
It's all about context.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just say who would get eaten first if we were dropped in the wilderness.
I don't need an ego shot tomorrow. You know, I don't need
That's
need
fair.
a kick in the nads here.
That's fair. All right. Well, that's it. Episode 3 is a wrap. Thank you so much for listening. Pat, take us out.
Keep pushing it, baby.
3, 2, 1.
There's not one guy, one person in the history of this program that's bigger than the program.
What's better than this? Guys being dudes.